Welcome again, Coach IanB, and we continue our discussion on family business. So today, let's talk family business. Now, we've been in a discussion around the idea of the family charter. This document that a lot of businesses or a lot of family businesses don't engage in or don't create or don't take the time to have the discussions around. And we had our initial discussion that spoke to the idea of the raison d'etre. Why are we in business together? Why are we doing this? What's important to us? What are our values? Today, we are going to speak about the type of business. And what we're really going to talk about is the whole idea of the end game. That's right, the end game. Now, you might be thinking, well, why am I in business to end? Well, end game thinking is essential because if you don't know where you're going, the likelihood is that there is going to be a lack of clarity, but more importantly, a waste of resources because the journey there is going to be extremely painful. So we're going to talk about the type of business. Let me encourage you, because drift is dangerous, I want to encourage you, don't drift, design. Don't drift, design. The reason I encourage you not to drift but design is because the end game determines today's priorities and tomorrow's succession. Let's dig into this a little bit more. What do I mean when I talk about today's priorities? What do I mean when I say tomorrow's succession? Well, let me explain some of the things that are essential to ensuring that you are able to be clear on today's priorities and what is required for tomorrow's succession. So you've got to make a decision around, first of all, do you want to keep the business or sell it? And I'm not just talking about now. Do you want this business to stay in your family, or is it something you're building to sell? And that's a determination that you must make because it will determine some of the actions you take. Again, today's priorities, tomorrow's succession. The second thing you have to determine is, do you just want to be an owner, or do you want to be an owner-operator? Let me explain a little bit more. Now, I can own a business, but not operate a business. And if I decide that we want to be owners and operators throughout the generations, then it is critical that we prepare the next generation of owners or the next generation of operators. So it's going to be important for you to recognize that if you want to be an owner-operator, then there are specific things you must do. So the second question is, do you want to be an owner or do you want to be an owner-operator? The third question you want to ask yourself is, who can be owners? Who can be owners? Again, thinking beyond you. Remember tomorrow's succession. So you want to think, is it just the bloodline? What happens to in-laws? What happens to people who come into the family? These are things you want to determine up front in terms of ownership of your business, which is what we are speaking about today, your type of business. So who can be owners? The third thing is, how do I prepare for unexpected situations? For example, death, for example, marriage, for example, divorce, for example, sickness. All of those things you must have contingencies for as part of your family charter, your family constitution, your family compact. So again, first of all, you want to determine, do you want to keep or sell? Do you want to determine, do you want to be owner or owner-operator? Do you want to determine who becomes owners? And you want to prepare for unexpected situations like death, like marriage, like divorce, like sickness. Now, the reason these things are important, and a lot of families do not take the time to do it, is because it will create chaos later. If you put it in place, it doesn't guarantee no chaos, but it guarantees that you have some form of agreement and understanding and some form of a framework to be able to move forward. Because I'm sure you know what's happening with Sanders. I'm sure you know what's happening with Mr. Murdoch. All of these families have things in place, but yet there was still a bit of confusion, a bit of wrangling, a bit of fighting at the end. Can you imagine if there was nothing in place? So I want to encourage you. I want to implore you to ensure that you build your family charter, you begin the conversations. And first we spoke about the raison d'etre, which is your reason for being in business together, your values, what's important for legacy. And today we talked through, or we worked through, the whole concept of the type of business, which is, first of all, do you want to be clear? Do you want to own? Do you want to keep? Or do you want to sell? Do you want to be owners or owner operators? Because if you want to be operators going forward, you got to prepare it. And you may decide, I want to be owners in this generation, but I leave the opportunity to not be operators later. That's okay as well. You want to determine. Then you want to determine, how do I deal with circumstances and situations where people may pass away? You have people who get married, people who get divorced, and sickness. These things you have to prepare for by putting things in place within your family charter, putting things in place within your family constitution, and ensuring that your family has set the foundation for your family business to thrive, and that the economics that you have, the economic foundation and stability you provide for your family through your business continues for generations to come.